So today we're going to talk about populating the fNIRS cap. So today, for the purposes of this video, we're going to talk about the NIRS Sport 2 materials and use the NIRS Sport 2 software. So we're going to learn how to check that your configuration on the physical cap is correct by using different resources that NIRS provides. And just talk about briefly how we organize all of our materials and populate the cap. So the first thing I want to do is just kind of show how I hold the cap and how I switch from one cap, take the fibers off one cap and switch to another one. So we currently are doing 2 different fNIRS studies within our lab, but we only have 2 sets of fibers, so 8x8 fibers. So this means it's really important that we label our caps and our configurations so they don't get confused between studies. So right now, this is a cap for one of our studies and I need to switch it for another one. So the first thing I'm going to do is take off the fibers. So when I hold the cap, the most fragile part of the fNIRS cables are the fibers here. So I always put it around my neck so they're not being bent or dragged on the floor anywhere. It just makes it easier. And I always hold the cap with my hand inside like this. And the first thing that we're going to have to do is take off these plastic things on here. So these are called spring toppers. And these are the things that hold the optodes in place. So they all have different tensions. We have 0 tensions all the way up to 3 tension. And this just means there's a different strength spring that holds the optodes in place depending on how much hair the participant has. So to take these off, what I normally do is I hold the base of the grommet, and I'll explain what grommets are later, but the base of the plastic piece here, and I just slowly pop it off. So what I do, if you notice on these cables, there's different groups. There's these white sliders that group the optodes. I usually take them off group by group so they don't tangle or get confused with each other, because that's the hardest thing, is try your best to keep the fibers untangled, which can be difficult. So these are just some practices to make sure everything stays organized. So I'm going to then take the rest off group by group. So I just took out this frontal group, and as you can see, they're all in one group organized using these little sliders. So what I normally do after I take one off, I just slide it all the way up, making sure that none of them are bunched, and then I just let them hang. Again, these aren't as fragile as the fibers up here. So then I will do the next group. I usually, as you can see, there's like tiny groups within these bigger groups. We have a bigger slider, so then I usually do the next one within this group. So that is the other frontal area. So I'll pop off the spring topper, and I usually take one off and I just hold it with my thumb, put it down, and then I'll put them between my fingers. Again, I'm holding the base of the spring topper, taking it off. So now we have this group, and I'm going to slide the white thing up, the little white slider, kind of making sure that they're not on top of each other. And then, since I have this group completely separated in order to keep them organized, I just slowly push this larger white slider up. And you can see like they'll look different lengths, so it's just important that you kind of figure out, okay, why is this one longer? Let's pull these ones down and just make sure you can get them as smooth as you can. So I try to get these out of my way without like being able to manage them so they're not hanging and like flipping over things. So sometimes what I do is I make sure that they're not in the way by putting it on my elbow like this. And then I'll do the next group. So now we're in the parietal areas, and I'm going to start with each of these groups. So our configurations happen to be really easy because they're split into these like groups of 4, but a lot of fNIRS studies are very frontal area heavy. So what I mean by that is they're not split into these nice groups. So you just have to be cognizant of what optodes are a part of what group. For me, it's pretty easy to see. So this is just some management practice to keep yourself in a habit where you keep things organized and don't let it get tangled. Okay, I got that group. So again, I'm gonna push the swipe up here. And yeah, so that's something I just did, so I don't recommend doing. Don't ever hold the cap by the fibers. Always like use the cap as the base. Don't pull the optodes up. So I'm gonna pull these out quickly and then put like I did the last group. Okay, and so I'm going to now let them all hang. So it's inevitable to get them like perfect here just because these are so long, but I'm gonna let them hang here. And the next important step is we need to put this cap away. So like I said, we have multiple configurations. So something I always like to check before I put this cap away is I wanna double check what this configuration is, what study it's for. So we can do that in a couple of ways. So I am pretty sure it is for the mini study that we're doing, but one of the ways that we can check is going to your copy of the PDF copy of the configuration that you made on fNIRS site. So what you upload to Aurora, it should save a copy as a PDF, and just always have that on you and double check that the configuration is correct before you put it away. So I'll show you in a minute how to do that. But first, I'm going to just put this one away. All the caps, when you buy them, come with these little bags that have pictures of the cap layouts, 10-5, 10-10, and so on. So as you can see, we bought a little labeler, and for each study, we just label it in here so we know which configuration, which cap goes into what. So we just had a mini study, so I'm going, and that's the cap that I took the fibers off of, so I'm going to make sure that I put it in the correct bag. So this is just something that we try to do to keep things organized, especially as our fNIRS projects are growing. But it is important that the next person who is going to repopulate this cap doesn't just rely on this bag to make sure the configuration is correct. There's ways that I will show you in a bit that you can double check that this configuration is correct and in the right bag.